good Thursday morning. It's 6 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for getting your day started with us. And good morning to Miller, the man with the good news today.
Yes, beautiful. You like yesterday?
Of course.
Ooh, it's getting better, kiddo. Warmer temperatures, but I'm a weatherman, so I'm going to break everybody's heart. Doesn't last. Yeah, we got some Oogie stuff out there we'll talk about, and I'm going to show you that here in just a bit. Hey, quickly, it's just started the Calls for Kids Media-a-thon until 6 o'clock this afternoon or this evening at Cat Country 102.9, raising funds for St. Vincent, including benefiting the pediatric intensive care unit here in town. There's a phone number, there's a way you can text, there's a website, all three ways you can get on there and donate, and that goes until 6 o'clock later on this evening. So make a donation, make a difference if you can. Live look across Billings right now, courtesy of the Stockman Bank weather cam. 29 at the airport, winds out of the southwest at about 3 miles an hour. Absaroka, we're at 30, Belfry at 35, down in Graybull at 25, Cowley 27. Waking up in Clark this morning, we're around 26, 27 in Huntley. Clear skies all around. Lots of sunshine today. You're going to see 50s and a lot of 60s across the board this afternoon. Our high in Billings will get up to about 63, and this is how we'll get there. Starting off this morning in the 20s and 30s, we'll get into the 40s by lunchtime. Later this afternoon, that sunshine getting us up into the low 60s, flirting with 70 tomorrow. Not too bad. Hey, today is National Awkward Moments Day. Victoria, nervous over there? You got something you can share?
You know, the only concern I had was having this holiday as today's holiday, awkward, and making an awkward moment about it. You know, not having something to say about Awkward Moments Day.
Cool. Okay. Well, you know,
awkward.
That's an awkward transition right there to this. Meteorologist Miller Robson is my Facebook page. I've asked folks, do you have an awkward moment? There's been a lot of them. I'll share one more. Karen says, when my students brought it to my attention at an award ceremony while we were on stage passing out class awards, the student said, Miss B, you have on a blue shoe and a black shoe. Aww. So she proceeded to tell the second grader, I did it, pretty much on purpose to see who was most observant, and gave that kid an award. So way to play it off there, Karen. There you go. Have you ever done that before? I've done different socks all the time.
Yeah, the socks don't bother me too bad. I will sometimes just I don't care, just get socks on your feet. But yeah, I have to grab two different pairs of shoes and not noticed until later. So
cool. Hold on a second.
It's always fun.
Okay, I am wearing socks. That's the good news.
Yeah.
I'm in the same color this morning too.
Good job. I'm proud of you, Miller.
Thank you. I do what I can.
All right, I'll get to the news.
Okay,
Thanks.
kid.
Our top story this Thursday morning, as we enter day 4, prosecutors in the trial of Diego Hernandez say DNA evidence links him to the murder of Lori Bray. The state crime lab's DNA supervisor says traces of his skin were found under Bray's fingernails. Defense lawyers argue the tests could be flawed, questioning the lab's peer review process. They say DNA isn't tested twice, and instead someone double checks a report done by the original tester. Photos of Hernandez's car were shown to the jury. Bray's clothes were scattered inside. The turn signal was broken off the steering column, and mud was caked on the stereo. One sheriff's deputy told the jury they believe Bray was killed inside that vehicle. A man is injured and a pet is killed in a fire that engulfed the garage of a West Billings home. Officials don't know what caused the fire at 324 White Star Circle. The garage is attached to the home of a family of 5 who were all able to evacuate. Firefighters were able to get control before flames spread to the house. They say a car was inside the garage at the time, and its gas tank kept reigniting the flames. Billings police are investigating what caused a vehicle to crash into a West End home. Thankfully, no one was injured. It happened yesterday afternoon at 2202 13th Street West. Police believe the driver may have suffered a medical problem, and they were taken to the hospital. Now we go to Helena, where Governor Greg Gianforte wants to use federal COVID relief money to make sure every Montanan has access to high-speed internet. The state commerce director outlined a $350 million plan and says that's really only half of what's needed. The administration wants to set up a team of experts to guide spending over the next 4 years. The hope is to ensure Montana has internet capability that will last into the future and attract businesses.
Our intention is to grow and create business attraction. We've got to create an infrastructure that lets people look at it and go, wow, look at that. They've got a huge broadband, a huge fiber, whatever it is, network deployed, and we can put our 15 or 20 people or 50 or 100 or whatever it might be and know that we can connect to the rest of the world and do business commercially.
A legislative budget panel is helping draft a bill to spend money from the latest COVID relief bill. The governor hopes they include this proposal. A bipartisan group of former elected officials have filed a legal challenge to a new law giving the governor the power to appoint judges. Governor Greg Gianforte signed Senate Bill 140 into law on Tuesday. It eliminates the Judicial Nomination Commission and gives the governor the ability to directly appoint state district court judges and Supreme Court justices to a vacancy. The petition to the Montana Supreme Court argues the law is unconstitutional. The group says language in the Montana Constitution reads the governor is only able to appoint judges from a group of nominees and not make direct appointments. In national news, the American Society of Engineers gives the U.S. a C- for our infrastructure. But big changes will soon be on the horizon for America's trains, roads, and bridges. Reporter Joe St. George has the latest.
During the pandemic, you have seen crowding on buses.
Like millions of Americans, Ronald Thompson does not own a car.
This is where it's like the busiest.
Most days, even in a pandemic, he finds himself boarding a bus.
There we go.
Only to then hop on a train. Mass transit, in his case, Washington, D.C.'s metro system, is crucial for just living.
A lot of folks who travel to and from work and to school rely upon public transit to get there.
We'll expect debates over trains, buses, streetcars, and yes, bridges and roads to take place in the coming weeks. That's because Congress is debating behind the scenes how to introduce a major infrastructure bill to address the rust that's accumulated across the U.S. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, it's estimated a water main break happens every 2 minutes. 43% of America's roads are deemed in poor condition. There are over 46,000 structurally deficient bridges nationwide, just like this one we found less than a mile from the U.S. Capitol. How much is this costing you? Well, listen to Casey Dinges with the American Society of Civil Engineers talk about damage to vehicles.
So that's costing the average motorist in this country over $1,000 a year in road conditions.
Some progressive Democrats want a comprehensive infrastructure package voted on by July 4th. Some moderate Democrats, though, are beginning to sound the alarm, concerned about spending trillions more after they just passed a massive stimulus bill. But one reason transportation advocates are optimistic is President Biden.
It is going to happen.
John Robert Smith is with Transportation for America and has been lobbying presidents for years. He believes the fact President Biden took Amtrak nearly every day for 36 years will be a key reason something changes, particularly when it comes to trains.
For passenger rail, we're so lucky to be working on the president's favorite project. Today, you cannot leave an economy marooned with only the personal automobile as the way to get in and out of the place where you live.
Some projects he believes could happen include new train routes from places like Colorado Springs to Denver, or from Bozeman to Billings in Montana. Mobile, Alabama to New Orleans in the South is even possible. As for Ronald, he just hopes Congress does something bold soon, beyond fixing a few potholes.
How do we fund the things that we know work?
In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Thank you, Joe. Today, lawmakers are taking on the issue of immigration. The House will vote on a bill that would grant so-called dreamers a path to citizenship. Another bill would protect farm workers who are here in the country illegally. The legislation is expected to pass the House, but both could face a tough road in the Senate where they would need 60 votes to pass. A bill designed to create legal protections for women who experienced domestic and sexual violence just passed through the House. 29 Republicans voted with every Democrat to support it. The legislation includes provisions to expand housing for abuse survivors. It also prevents dating partners with domestic violence or abuse convictions from buying or owning firearms. Previous versions of the bill only applied to spouses. Taxpayers will get a little more time to file their returns this year. The IRS plans to move the tax filing deadline from April 15th to May 17th. The IRS is still dealing with the backlog of returns from last season. The extension also gives tax preparers the chance to assess changes to the tax code that include the latest round of stimulus payments. Lawmakers called the extension absolutely necessary. Authorities are still working to determine if the Atlanta area rampage that left 8 people dead was racially motivated. However, the suspect told police it was a sexual addiction issue. Officers say he frequented the 3 spas he attacked in the past and may have been lashing out. 21-year-old Robert Long is charged with 8 counts of murder. 7 of the victims in the deadly attacks are women and 6 are Asian. Turning now to the latest on the pandemic, a new study shows the risk of reinfection for COVID-19 is extremely rare. Researchers found of 17,000 people infected with COVID-19 between last March and May, only 72 were reinfected during the second surge. They estimate the initial infection offered 80% protection against getting sick again. That number fell to 47% for adults 65 and older. Researchers say older adults are more vulnerable due to weaker immune systems, and that is why it's important for them to get vaccines. Government officials announced they will distribute $10 billion in federal funds for coronavirus testing in schools. That comes as the CDC is considering reducing guidelines for distance in classrooms to 3 feet. 18 states are reporting at least a 10% rise in new cases. The Senate is expected to pass an extension that gives small businesses more time to apply for PPP loans. It would extend the application deadline by 2 months to May 31st. It also gives the Small Business Association an extra 30 days to process applications. This is seen as a win for small businesses who will now have more opportunity to obtain forgivable loans to help with certain costs. Americans in several states are cleaning up this morning after tornadoes and thunderstorms impacted tens of millions of people across the Southeast. CBS's Naomi Ruckham shows us the damage.
From Texas to Georgia, weather watches and warnings became tornadoes and violent storms. This chicken farm in Mississippi was torn to pieces after a tornado destroyed every building on the property. In Tuscaloosa, Alabama, hundreds of college students were forced to shelter in place as storms moved through, while others, like Jennifer Patterson, lost their homes in the storm.
Everything I worked hard for is gone.
As the storms moved in, she took shelter in a ravine behind her home, holding on tight to a tree in her backyard.
All I could do was just say, Jesus, watch over me, Jesus, watch over me. And then it just kept going and going and going.
In Mississippi, people gathered at evacuation shelters to wait out the storms.
There's no safe room in the mobile home, and I have no safe room outside. So we felt like this was the safest place for us to be.
All across the South, schools shut down, calling off in-person classes. And in Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, mass COVID-19 vaccination sites were closed due to heavy wind and rain. But in Louisiana, this rainbow filled the sky, a sign that for some, the storm has passed. For others in the Southeast, though, more rough weather is forecast for today. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
The Weather Service is evaluating how many tornadoes touch down across the South. More severe weather is possible today with Georgia and the Carolinas at risk.